I've never recorded, so I don't know how this works. I don't know if it's going to work or not, but just FYI, I am recording. Okay, so I need to share. The first thing you need to do is get to our website. And so to do that, we need to go to Saddleport. So if you could go to Saddleport, I'm recording. I don't see where I could share. There it is. I'll walk you through if you don't know. Okay, can you see my screen?
Yeah.
Okay, so through Saddleport on the bottom where you have home, my tiles, you'll see language acquisition. If you click language acquisition, there will be one tile there, language acquisition website. And then it takes you to this. Can I go on? Are we there? Do we need time?
I'm not seeing language acquisition under.
So in Saddleport, all the way in the bottom, you might need to do the arrow.
Oh, yeah. Okay, there we
yeah.
go.
So language acquisition, and then you'll click that tile.
Yes, okay.
And then it'll take you to here. So everything that you need for any designated ELD course will live in this website. So what you're going to do is click on under site contents, secondary ELD. And that takes you to the different courses we offer. So I know, Ryan, you're teaching more than just the expanding. So anything you need for your other courses, this is where you find it as well.
Okay, cool.
So for now, we're focusing just on expanding. So then you'll click on expanding, which is the 4th course under secondary ELD courses. And then that takes you to the course description and to the curriculum plus the Unpack practice. So Mark and Elena know because they were part of this course last year. We piloted this course last year. And so there was a group of teachers and the course was being built as we went last year. And we learned a lot in the process. And so we took all the feedback and revamped the course. So last year it was just 3 units. This year is 4 units. And so if you click on the dELD expanding teacher guide, this icon will expand it and take you to the actual course. This is your teacher guide that guides you through all the lessons. And so really today the focus is for you to understand how to manage the teacher guide. If you see, we have week 1 and it's all building relationships using the Freyer model. We did this last year. It worked well. It was very well received by the students and the teachers. So we decided to keep it. So for week 1, you would just click where it says slide 4 and it'll take you to that week 1. And you'll see that there's 5 days. So there's 5 different lessons for this week 1. You don't have to use all 5. If you want to consider this your week 1 and it's just 3 days, you already did something today, you could do, 1 tomorrow and 1 on Friday. You can do that and then do 2 more or 3 more the following week. If you want to just do what you're doing this week and then start with week 1 for designated ELD on Monday, you can do that as well. But it's there and it's ready for you. And so if you click on the slide deck, it'll guide you for the days and it'll give you examples. So week 1 slide deck, and then this is the Freyer model. And then now it'll guide you through what it is, how to do it, what to do on day 1, day 2, etc. And it gives you the examples. If you want to print it for your students, it's there in the comment section. So everything you need for week 1 is there. I tend to go really fast, so I'm going to pause. Questions?
So just that I have the same students that I had last year.
That's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, because they could build on it, or they could say other things that maybe they didn't share last time. There might be 1 or 2 different ones. Maybe it's a different group.
Is there, are you going to cover it probably later, but how the students can transition out? Is it changed from last year? And is it written down anywhere, or is...
Yeah, so we will be talking about reclassification and what the criteria is. And as you know, they need that 4 overall. That's criteria 1. So if they don't have that 4 overall, they're not going to reclassify this year. And we are sending to admin and the ML coordinators and the coaches the list of we're calling them qualifiers. Here are the students that are sitting with that 4 LPAC at your site. that we're all gonna have eyes on for the entire year so that they could reclassify. And then, so Brian, at any moment when they reclassify, they get moved, some sites move them out of the class at the end of either the trimester or the semester.
Can they reclassify without taking the official LPAC at the end of the year?
No, yes, so we took it last year, right? So their
Right.
2024 LPAC score is what, it's good for the entire year. So
Yeah.
that's the score that they get to keep for this entire school year.
Right.
And they will take the LPAC again, as you know, starting February, and that score will be for next year.
Okay. So was there some other qualification that could make them move out if they
Yes,
weren't
there's
already?
a lot, and we're gonna cover that
Oh, okay.
as we go. Yeah, but right now I'll just focus on the course and how to understand how to navigate the teacher guide, and then we'll go ahead and transition into reclassification. So then that be week 1, week 2 works the same. You click on slide 5 and it'll take you to everything you need for week 2. Then week 3 is really when you're starting to introduce the course to the students. Mark and Elena know this. Some kids will be a repeat for them. It's okay. We need to hear things more than one time. Why the course, the LPAC overview, all that information starts in slide 6. So everything you need is here. You click on week 3 slide deck, and then it'll guide you for the 5 days of week 3. And so as of now, for those first 3 weeks, you're not really starting content yet. It's really setting the stage, getting to know students, having them understand why they're there, what the LPAC is, what their score is. In week 3, you'll notice that students are going to complete a worksheet where they get to know their facts. Like, what is my LPAC score? What is my SBAC score? What is my iReady score? What do I need to reclassify? So there's an activity that you'll guide the students through so that they get to understand all of what they need to do and their next steps for reclassification. And it's all covered in week 3. So we go back. And then the unit 1 really starts weeks 4 to 9, more or less. It's not like lockstep. It's just more or less, it's gonna take this amount of time. And everything you need for unit 1 is in slides 7 through 19. That the activity at the end of the unit, students should be able to engage with a collaborative evidence-based discussion by synthesizing relevant information using noun phrases when describing, explaining, and summarizing information and ideas. It's titled All About Me. This is the same as it was last time. So you click on there, it takes you to the overview, which is not different from last year. It guides you through. What is different from last year, though, is that we added a supporting standard. So every unit now has a priority standard and a supporting standard. And this priority standard and this supporting standard will be recycled throughout the entire unit in the activities that the students are doing, in the readings that they're doing, in the formative assessments that they're doing. And then the end of the unit assessment assesses both the priority and the supporting standard. So that's different, a little different from last year, is that we added a supporting standard for every unit. But other than that, you know the format. The 2 of you, Ryan left. So the 2 of you know the format, you know the overview of the unit. Now you have the lessons. We added, when appropriate, elevation strategies that support. And so they're linked there for you. We've added formative assessments, different exit tickets. So we definitely went more in depth, given we heard the students, we heard the teachers, and we knew that we needed more. Not just the textbook, the activities in the textbooks weren't enough. So really the textbook provides us with the reading, the text, but we're doing strategies to engage with the standards and the skills that the students need and the concepts of the standards. Questions? And Mark, if you have a question, you could always type it. I don't know if you're able to.
Are you hearing me if I speak?
I can hear you, yes.
Oh, yay. Okay, so I'm getting the audio now, so it seems like we're back on track. Thank you.
Hey, all right. Are we good? Okay, so
All good.
continue. So for unit 1s and unit 2 really are the exact same as last year. I'm gonna get back to my actual. So units 1 and 2 are the exact same ones from last year. And then we have an end of semester performance task. So now we're teaching 2 units in semester 1, and then it's that Socratic seminar that we did last year. And we'll go in. What happened here? And we'll go in and add the what students will do the objective for that Socratic seminar. I'll add it there. I'll update it. So that's different. 2 units now, semester 1, and then that end of unit Socratic seminar. Overall, the feedback we received about the Socratic seminar was positive, so we went ahead and left that there. But everything you need, again, it's linked here for you. And then after the winter break, we come back, it's semester 2, and now we have 2 units to do. So it's a total of 4 units now, and it's Global Village and Fitting In. That fitting in, you'll recognize from the bridging course. We brought it over to make it a full expanding course with 4 units. So really everything for expanding units 3 and 4 second semester is new for teachers and students. So what we need for unit 3 is linked in those slides. Again, every unit is linked to tier 1 research-based strategies that are effective for communicating and using that language and language acquisition. And when appropriate, we brought in those elevation strategies. Every unit will have the supporting standard, like I mentioned, and it will also include, as I've already mentioned, the exit tickets, assessments, formative assessments. They follow a formula. The texts in every unit are different. The standards and what the students are doing with the standards differ, but every lesson 1 for every unit looks the same in terms of structure. Every lesson 2 for the units look the same in forms of structure. What I mean is like every lesson 1 of a new unit or a new text sets the stage. Then there's pre-reading. Then there's an exit ticket. Then lesson 2 will always be a checking for understanding with continued pre-reading. Then there's going to be a first read, then a second read, then an exit ticket. And we're letting you know activities and ideas for how to do the first read, how to do that second read. And then lesson 3 for every text will always activate a prior knowledge. And this is focusing on the grammar because every secondary standard of the unit is grammar focused, how language works, how English works. So lesson 3 for every text will always be focused on grammar, and it's everything you need is linked there. And then we're going to go back and how does this grammar make sense in context? So in this case, they're reading what makes us, if the world were a village. So then they're going to go back and look for the grammar examples in the text. Again, it's a formula. Every lesson 1, lesson 2, lesson 3 formula looks the same for every text. This helps you really be able to engage with the text, and then it gives students the understanding of what's coming next and the expectation. The exit tickets could be considered formative assessments. You grade however you want to grade, but at least we wanted to make sure that you had enough time for checking for understanding and being able to give students feedback when appropriate. Any questions thus far? It's a lot. How is it sounding? How is it feeling?
Looks good, looks very fleshed out, especially, you know, compared to last year, like you said, built out more.
Yes, it's always a lot more. And then at the end of the unit, there's always that unit assessment, and everything you need for the unit assessment is there for you as well. The links you need, the readings you need, the rubric you need, everything is there, and it'll live and it'll always say unit assessment. So in this case, this is a unit assessment for All About Me. And the post assessment, that's something that was different. I'm glad that I went to this page because it is different from last year. Every unit will have a pre-assessment and a post-assessment. And the pre-assessment will always be surrounding the essential question of the unit. So you're just gonna put it out there and assess the students, what do you know? So that this way you could see what vocabulary they're already coming in, what knowledge they're already coming in, and you could start really infusing their background knowledge into the unit and not focus too much on vocabulary if they're already coming with a lot of vocabulary, for example. But then at the end of the unit, you will give the post assessment, and it's the exact same assessment that you gave before starting the unit so that the students could see their growth, because now they'll be able to incorporate what they've learned in discussions through the text, and they're going to build upon whatever background knowledge they came in. So every unit has that pre-assessment and the post-assessment, and it's all there for you. So let me see. So for example, unit 2, here's the introduction of the unit. This is where the pre-assessment lives. And it's here. Like, for example, students will individually write a paragraph answering the unit's essential question. They are to do this with no guidance. The goal is to assess background knowledge. The pre-assessment will always live in the introduction of the unit. And then I put an asterisk saying collect these and archive them, because they're going to answer it again at the end of the unit. And then this way they could compare the two. It's up to you whether you want to grade these. You don't have to. It's to see them and their growth, and it's really to address the essential question of the unit and how much they're able to then use their vocabulary both in context and build upon their background knowledge. How does that feel, or any thoughts about that? Mark, it's just you and I.
Oh, it just dropped out. Elena left.
He had to leave, yeah.
Oh, sorry, I missed that. It looks good. I love the idea of showing concrete growth, before and after, of like, this is where you were, 8
Right.
weeks ago, 10 weeks ago, or whatever, and this is where you got to. I also do see, for a second language learner, these very open-ended questions. It's like, oh, well, you could have a completely different answer in a perfectly formed paragraph, but it doesn't tie into any of the readings that we're
Correct.
they had a good answer, it just feels off topic or whatever.
Right.
Having not explored the themes yet. But no, this is looking really good.
And by our experience tells us that the pre-assessment will be related to the essential question, but it might not include a lot of academic vocabulary.
Okay, yeah.
So that really,
yeah.
that's the goal, right? They've built the vocabulary, their academic vocabulary throughout the unit. So then we should really see how much they infuse that academic vocabulary in their post-assessment.
Yeah, they can now speak within this topic
Correct.
using on-target vocab. Yeah,
Yeah.
cool.
And it's the post-assessment will always be right before the unit assessment, kind of a reflection piece, like, oh yeah, that's
Okay.
started, and then here's where I'm at, and then now I'm going to do this end of unit assessment that's going to bring everything and tie it in together, but really to see how well I was able to meet the standard of focus.
Cool. Well, that's great.
And then, so this is unit 2, the same, again, remember it's a formula. It just follows the same structure. The readings are different. The grammar in lesson 3 will be different in every unit.
Yeah.
And then the assessment looks different for every unit too, because it's assessing the standards.
Yeah.
So,
I do wonder, and we'll just work through it as we get kids from everywhere. Oh, I did this exact, or it feels like I just did this second semester at El Toro, or, I was expanding here and I was bridging there, and yeah. But it's language. You're always practicing language more and deeper and better.
Sure. I think you're right. I think that's a valid point. And because our kiddos who were in bridging that did not reclassify are now put in expanding for this year, some in other courses, you're right. There are going to be kids that are going to be like, wait, I feel like I did this last year.
Yeah.
But they're still now engaging with the text, because now we're adding the different reads, right? Like we're reading it 4 to 5 times with a different lens each time. So they'll be able, it's like watching a movie again.
Yeah.
I tell them, like, just because you've already watched a movie doesn't mean you don't watch it again and you don't enjoy it. Like it's, you could watch it again, but now with a different perspective. And so every time you do a read will be a different perspective and a different goal. And it'll only build on how you write about it, how you speak about it, how you make connections to your, but yeah, we should definitely be prepared for those students who will be.
Have your canned answers for those. Yes.
Yeah, great point.
Few things that will happen. Yeah.
Well, I'm glad you brought that up. So here's the end of unit assessment, performance task. And then for the end of the semester 2, so this is the last unit. I'm just going through it quickly because I need to remember. So at the end of semester 2, so the end of the year, our office decided that we would have the students work in a proud portfolio. So semester 1 is the Socratic seminar. for semester 2, the end. So when they're doing finals and their other courses, this is
Mhm.
really their final for these
Yeah.
this course. And it's the proud portfolio, and it's really to celebrate their growth. And everything that you need as a teacher for how to prep them in this proud portfolio lives here. But we will also have time in these meetings to
Mhm.
collaborate and talk about and prepare for this.
Yeah. I had some students get a lot of pride out of doing those last year we did them for, how their English was helping them in XYZ subject. And it was really neat to see. Some of them really just wanted to brag a lot.
Oh, great. I'm glad you
Yeah.
have.
Yeah. So it's good to see some success stories or whatever that I was unaware of, that our program was helping them succeed in science or math or whatever. Yeah.
Well, that'll be great for you to bring when the meeting focusing on this, if you could bring like examples or like
Mhm.
what now you know and you would do different, like upon
Mhm.
reflection. Now, that would be great. Thank you for
Yeah.
sharing.
Mhm.
And so this is new, and we do in this group, we are going to talk about like, okay, what are we thinking? What is set there? What needs to be tweaked?
Mhm.
So that is going to be part of the work we're going to do throughout these meetings.
Nice. And I would say it sounded like last year, a lot of people were kind of like, oh my gosh, what's this thing at the end of the year? Like, let's get to that maybe March, April or whatever, give them plenty of runway to prep or whatever.
Well, I think that was a big takeaway from last year, right? That we were
Mhm.
building as we were going.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it never felt like we knew what was coming. It always felt like, oh, you're telling me and I have to do this. And it felt like, oh, we have to do this next week.
Yes.
The good news is that it's all built out now.
Yeah.
So you really have the overview of the entire course there.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
so you know what's coming, whether you've taught the course or not.
Oh yeah.
Oh, this is going to be the assessment for this unit. Oh, this is going to be the end of semester activity. So we have enough knowledge now of what's to
Mhm.
come, which is what's great about not building the plane as you go.
Oh yes.
So
Yes.
this year 2 will definitely, I think, be better for our students.
Very cool.
Yeah, so we're excited. So throughout these 7, well, now 8 weeks, today's week 1 of this
Mhm.
PD, we're
Mhm.
gonna dig deep. So today the goal was looking at the assessment for that first unit
Mhm.
and start talking and collaborating. It's only you, so we're not gonna stay here the whole time. I'm here and I'll be your thought partner, but
Okay.
just so you know, like we are gonna have a focus every time, and every
Okay.
time next time we're gonna learn something, and there's gonna be think tank. So it's every other week every other month that we meet is really just time for you all to come together. Like, how's it going? What am I learning? What's working for you?
Mhm.
And it's time for you all to discuss
Mhm.
based on where we are. And hopefully that's gonna keep us more or less in the same space at the same
Mhm.
time. It's hard because you're all different sites, right? Different
Oh yeah.
expectations. But at least we all have this common course and we know where we're going, and it'll be able to anchor
Yeah.
us in our conversations. And we're going to be pulling strategies from elevation that are highlighted throughout the curriculum, and like how try them out in your class and then come back
Yeah.
and talk about it. How was that received by the students? Are they in the right place? Can this be used in other courses? Like, is this something you could share with your colleagues that teach
Mhm.
other courses, and it's integrated ELD, etc. So that's the purpose of what we're going to be doing throughout these 8 weeks.
Nice. The other, I'm sure you've gotten this question a lot. I'm gonna try to make it to as many of these as possible. It's just family things. This time of day is kind of a weird one, childcare wise. If I only made it to 7 of the 8, is it like, well, you don't get a single penny?
But you get paid for 7 of the 8.
Oh, okay. So
But
we want everybody at all of them.
correct.
But if there's something where you just can't make one, it's not going to penalize
That
you
happens
completely.
and we get it, right?
Okay.
Like today, I think there was a lot of confusion and people just thought they're just logging in for, so, okay, you're here, you're gonna get paid for the whole time. This counts as 1 for you.
Mhm. Yeah.
It doesn't count, but the goal is not that you're picking and choosing.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes.
The goal
We
is
would
that-
like a consistent core
Correct.
of teachers that are all helping, sharing, etc. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
Okay.
But only you and Ryan Miller at Mission filled
Mhm.
out the registration form, and so
Oh.
as far as I understood, it was just the 2 of you.
Yeah.
So that was, and then I got emails from others asking if they could just be recorded and
Sure.
share it as a webinar
Okay.
without pay. And so
Mhm.
Mark asked me to record today, see how today went. So
Yeah.
that is a conversation that we're gonna have, and ultimately he's gonna decide if it's just one. He might just say, well, maybe we just move forward with it as a webinar, and then it'll be posted here on the website.
Mhm.
And then you all could just go on individually.
Yeah, asynchronously, whenever it works for you,
The
that's
only
when you
problem
can
is that
access.
we don't get the collaboration piece.
Yeah, yes, and I really think because there's a lot of people that are, it seems like, always new or new to this, or I didn't know I was teaching this and now I am. That learning from everybody, it was really powerful last year, and I know it helped me a lot.
Yeah, and because we're not gonna have those pull-out days for
Yeah,
this course, we
yeah.
didn't
So
want to leave people hanging, and we wanted to
Mhm.
offer something, but like we totally understand. It's
Yeah, so there will be 0 pullout days for expanding.
correct.
But I just got one for the reading intensive. No, what's it called?
Yes,
The
intensive
Read
reading is
181.
our
Yes.
course. Intensive
Yeah.
reading is our course of focus this year.
Okay, so that's where those pull out days are going to be focused on, is that one, because it's serving the most students in the district.
Correct.
Okay,
And
okay,
we
great.
realize that the training for that course hasn't occurred in many, many years.
Well, it's a very, to my knowledge, it's a kind of a very strict system of like, do it this way and it works. And if you
And then they
don't,
changed their platform. It just made sense to like,
okay,
let's just focus on that.
yeah,
HM is gonna be supporting us.
okay,
But
great.
for this expanding course, like if it's just gonna be you coming
Mhm.
the 8 weeks, like you're still not gonna benefit from the collaboration anyway.
Sure. Yeah.
So maybe we move forward and these just become webinars.
Okay,
Maybe more people will decide to log in, and starting week 2, then we have a good solid group. So we
okay,
don't know where this is going yet.
sure. All right, that
We
makes
definitely
sense.
wanted to try, and we wanted to make sure that you all felt like there is something for this course. We're
Mhm.
not just being left out to dry.
Definitely. Yeah.
So again, it's in the website. I walked you to how to get there. That's where the curriculum lives. Now we
Mhm.
understand it's the 4 units. There's a pre-assessment, a post-assessment. Every unit has its own individual assessment. And then
Mhm.
there's 2 end of semester projects.
Okay, that's
And then
great.
every unit has the main standard and the supporting standard. And
Mhm.
they also have each unit also has its own independent grammar focus.
Okay.
I think that's the overarching of it. And then we have to talk about Unpack practice now, which
Mhm.
also lives here in our website, everything you need there.
Mhm.
So again, these take place on Mondays. This is what you do with the students. It's the exact same activities from last year. The Unpack
Great.
doesn't change. The assessment itself doesn't change. So we're not changing the practices, because the more practice you get, the more so it will feel repetitive for students,
Yeah.
but then that should make them more of experts in each of the practices,
Mhm.
and hopefully get them to that 4. So the goal for us at our office is that these start on the 27th. Wait, when's the
I think 26 is a Monday.
26th is a Monday, so
Yeah,
the
okay.
26th. Thank you. So
Nice.
the 26th, so plan on the 26th being your first full Monday of Unpack practice.
And that will be both reading intensive and expanding and the other
No,
intensive.
so we're deciding, and so maybe that's a good conversation to have. And so maybe give me your feedback.
Sure.
The goal was going to be that all dELD courses are going to get LPAC practice. But then we were like, well, the only ones that are really close to reclassification are the students in the expanding course. And
Mhm.
they will benefit definitely from that consistent. We saw progress. We saw how well it benefited students last year. So we want to continue the Monday weekly practice.
Mhm.
So it is part of the course. For the other courses, it's more of like an informational, here it is, so that you could share with students when you feel appropriate, but they're
Okay.
not necessarily like it's part of the course. You do it every Monday.
Yeah.
It'll be there. Maybe we do it as a boot camp for those courses.
Mhm.
Our newcomer students in the early emerging will benefit
Mhm.
from understanding the structure of the exam,
Mhm.
but these activities might still be a little too hard for them.
Okay.
So we're conflicted on, like, we know for sure for this course it's part of the course every
Sure.
Monday is the expectation, but for the other courses we don't know if making it a Monday expectation works for the
Yeah.
student.
I see that for the newcomers. There were so many students that came out of that LPAC going, oh my gosh, all that practice, like we did, like that was easy, or oh my gosh, I now know what I'm supposed to say. Like I used to freeze up just, thinking I had to write a whole paragraph, but you showed us and you went over the rubric and all I needed was 2.5 sentences to get a passing score. I don't want to say don't touch on LPAC at all for people that might be, only scoring the 2s and the 3s the first time around, because I definitely think it gave a lot of confidence having seen exactly what it is that LPAC's all about and how to score well, even if you don't know the answer, or even if you can't, think about that picture or that recording very well.
Okay, so maybe it's something we talk about as a group with the IR teachers and see and get their feedback, and having it there and then incorporating it. We'll talk about it and decide do we want it to be part of the IR course as well to make that happen. So we'll wait when we meet on the 22nd. Cool. The IR teachers will make it part of our conversation.
Yes, well, and I also could see it, depending on the student of like, oh no, hey, I'm always at that 3, not quite the 4, and I did all of these same practice LPAC, right. That could also be frustrating for some of those guys. But I want to say I got like a glimpse of the IR schedule on a link from Mark, and one of the things it looked like they had LPAC Monday kind of like factored in there.
Oh, okay.
But again, I'm going to learn a lot more and in more in depth next week at that.
Yeah, I know that was our goal, and I think we ended up hoping that it was part of every course because we saw the benefit of it. But then I think we're trying to now figure out like, okay, well, how does it really fit in? We'll figure it out. There's no right or wrong, but it'll be accessible for anyone that wants it. And so any teacher that wants to incorporate it, again, for this course, it's a non-negotiable. It's part of our course every Monday. And for the other courses, we'll have to figure out how we roll it out.
Nice.
Yeah. So the changes with LPAC Monday, there's no longer dates associated with it. It's just lessons.
Okay.
Because if we're going to go beyond this course, the other courses might not start on the 26th, for example. And so we're like, okay, it's just lesson 1, lesson 2. So it's like your first Monday, your second Monday. Sure. And then we also aligned them to the ELD standards. They were always aligned to the ELD standards, but it was never communicated. And so now it's there. So now you'll know, and then having conversations with your admin or your coach or any other colleague, you could tell them and explain to them how these classroom conversations help them build their listening and their, opinions or exchanging ideas and what standards specifically they relate to. So we thought it'd be just full transparency and then know exactly how it relates to the standards.
Yeah.
Because the LPAC, these are the standards that then are the focus on the LPAC as well. So that really is the big difference in LPAC Mondays. And again, it lives in our little website. And then resources. So last
I know
year,
sorry, can you go around? It's like I got to the link yesterday and now my screen's a little bit smaller because of the Zoom, and I'm just not finding the LPAC practice link. It's
you know
next
how to get to our website.
So yeah, so I'm on secondary of language acquisition, and then I see expanding ELD, intensive reading, intensive language.
So click expanding.
Okay, so it's under the expanding.
Correct.
And yes, to the right of the teacher guide. Thank you. Okay.
Yep. So everything you need is there. And then last year when we met, we always had the ongoing slide deck. So all the meetings from last year live here in the dELD PLC.
Cool.
So if you wanted to go back and review, you can. It'll stay there as a resource. And then anything new or any other resource that we talk about during these this PD, these next 8 weeks, will also be added here. So any resource that you need for this will live here. But for now, that's what is
on that one page. That's like the goal.
Yes.
Okay.
That's the goal.
All right. Good to know. Thank you.
Yeah, no, not a problem. Okay, so so that was really the first hour, was me explaining the teacher guide, the Unpack practice, the differences, how to access the resources, the connection to the standards. And then the second hour was really going to be for you all to meet and engage with the assessment, the end of the first semester assessment.
Okay.
Because we're not in unit 1 yet, we're starting it really till like week 4. It
Mhm.
gives us time to really wrap our brain around like, okay, where are my students going?
Sure.
So unit 1 is all about me. Again, those are the standards. And then here's the end of unit assessment. So at the end of this unit, students will have a whole class discussion using philosophical chair strategy about the following quotes from Tina Lifford. When you know yourself, you are empowered. When you accept yourself, you are invisible. So this is the end of end of the unit assessment, and the assessment and rubric live here. So everything you need for this assessment is here for you.
Mhm.
And the goal was for colleagues to talk about like, okay, how do we see this going? We know these are the texts, so it highlights the text that you're going to read in this unit. So the kids have engaged, the students have engaged with these texts throughout the unit multiple times. Every text you're reading 4 to 5 times, different perspectives. So they're going to incorporate what they learned. Here's the skills from the standards highlighted in the unit. And then the instructions for them, like they're going to engage in philosophical chairs. What is philosophical chairs? You click on it and it gives you the edutopia of how to set up for you to, a lot of us have done it. Some of us haven't done it in a while. We just need a refresher. For some of us, it'll be new, but all that information is there on what to do and how to set it up. And then we are highlighting for the first time in this course, conversation moves. So these sentence frames that we talk about, that's important. So for this assessment, these are the conversation moves that we'll be sharing with students so that they know how to ask each other questions and how to respond. So we're setting them up with the language they need. We're setting them up with the information, academic information they need for them to just have this academic conversation, synthesizing what they've learned. And as a teacher, you'll just be walking around and assessing as needed. And the rubrics there
Quick
too.
question there on the conversation moves. I love this stuff. Do we have resources at the district or at our site to like print those in a big old poster to hang around our room as we're practicing those conversation moves?
A great idea. So I did link it here for you all, and you have, I mean, there's a picture there, an image, but you do have access to the actual document. But I mean, this is why we're meeting, right? Because this is your course and the student's course, and we're just here to support. And so I will bring it up to Mark and we'll see what the budget says. And if we could print these out and share them with everyone. I love that idea of having them posted, right?
Just that you could be always referencing, or hey, I can't think of how to say it, but hey, right here, or
Right.
yeah, digital's great, but sometimes having that thing anchored to a wall somewhere is a nice resource as well.
I will ask, and then I will keep you all posted on that, but I think that's a great idea. And these conversation moves are going to be incorporated throughout the unit as well. So it's not, the end of unit assessment is not the first time that the students are going to be seeing these conversation moves. They've already engaged with them throughout the unit. So I especially like the idea of having them on the board, because you could say, remember, today we're building on ideas, and you could just point on that after you've already introduced how to build on an idea and you've practiced it, etc. Yeah, I will ask. Anything else? In looking at the assessment, anything that you see that maybe questions, concerns?
No, not really.
Making a note, because otherwise I'll forget. Okay, so is there anything else that you'd like for me? I meet with Mark tomorrow morning. Is there anything else you'd like for me to bring up, or print and share the conversation moves? I think you're all set, right? With all the, everything you need?
Yeah, I think we are.
Okay, great. Because it's not a group and you can't break out into rooms and have discussions and start prepping, I mean,
Sure.
I'm here if you want me
I'll-
to be your thought partner, but we could also,
Yeah, no, I'll prep on my own and look forward to the next meeting, and hopefully we'll have a few more people join.
yeah, hopefully. And if we're gonna transition to just make them webinars, then
Yeah.
I'll keep you posted.
Okay,
All
awesome.
right, Mark, thank you. It
All
was
right,
so
thank you. So good to see you. Welcome back and everything.
good. You
All right,
too. All right,
bye-bye.
bye.